Hi everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. I hope that you are all well. I am just about to go out and get some groceries, but I wanted to get this video filmed before I did that. Today I am doing a tag video called the Bar and Bookcase Tag. The original tag was created by Jaylen at the Bar and the Bookcase. I will leave a link to Jaylen's channel in the description box below. And I was tagged by AJ at AJ Dunn Reads and Writes, and I will leave a link to AJ's channel below as well. AJ has a lot of great videos and book lists, so please check AJ's channel out. There are 11 prompts for this tag, and they all correspond with a drink, which is a unique and wonderful idea. So up first is an old-fashioned. This is a historical fiction recommendation. So for this one, I am going to recommend The Island of Sea Women by Lisa C. I loved this book and the story. I learned a lot about the history and culture of Korea and the island of Jeju. The Sea Women are known as Korean mermaids. They are divers, and their work is very well respected because it is so difficult and dangerous. And the story is about two girls who are very different than each other, but they become fast friends, and this book follows their lives from the 1930s to the 2000s, and I still think about this book often. Next is Sidecar, a book with a strong supporting character. One of the books I thought of for this was 5 Feet Apart, which is a YA novel about two teenagers, Stella and Will, who are both in the hospital with a life-threatening disease, and they cannot come within 6 feet of each other because it could compromise their immune systems and could potentially be life-threatening. So the story is about Stella and Will, but their friend Poe, who is also in the hospital, he's really the character who really stole my heart as he helps these two star-crossed lovers, and I think he really made the story so much better. He brought humor to it, and he brought things to the forefront that would have been lost, I think, otherwise, and Poe is my favorite in this one. Third is a Manhattan, which is a book set in New York City. I love New York, and I love books set in New York, and I read a lot of them. So I have picked up books just because they are set in New York. So I'm going to tell you about the most recent book that I read that was set in New York, that was a collection of short stories by Nora Ephron called I Feel Bad About My Neck and Other Thoughts of Being a Woman. In case you don't know who Nora Ephron is, you probably know her movies. She wrote When Harry Met Sally and You've Got Mail. The stories in this collection are about aging, and it definitely has a New York vibe. After reading it, there are some places that I need to pay more attention to the next time I'm able to visit New York and Manhattan. A Bloody Mary, a book that scared you, messed you up. The only book that has really scared me enough to affect me like that is The Stranger Beside Me by Ann Rule. This is about the serial killer Ted Bundy, who Ann Rule knew because they worked at a suicide prevention line together. After I read this book, which is very well written, I had to sleep with every light on in my house, including my bedroom light. My whole house really was ablaze while the rest of my neighborhood was in darkness. It really messed up my mind, and I kept thinking that if any part of my home was in darkness, Ted Bundy would be there, and it just freaked me right out. So, moving along. Espresso Martini, a book that kept you reading into the night. Well, most recently, this would be Cat's Eye by Margaret Atwood. Now, it was partly because I needed to finish it before I did the video for Mondays with Margaret, which I try to get out on Monday. But I also just love the book, which is a coming-of-age story, and it's written so well, and I wanted to know how it would all come together in the end. Sazerac is a book that left you disoriented. I probably thought about this more than I really should have, but I ended up choosing my Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This book was so disturbing. It is about a 15-year-old girl named Vanessa who has an affair with her English teacher, who is at least 25 years older, if not more. The story is brilliantly written from Vanessa's point of view, and Vanessa thinks that her teacher is in love with her. Even when she's 30, she thinks that this is a love story and that the relationship was about love. So the reason I chose it for the one that left me disoriented is because the book is written so well. There were a couple of times as I was reading it that I thought, oh, well, maybe. And then I'd have to give my head a shake. And it's amazing how manipulative the story is. And it was enough to, catch myself getting caught up in all of that, and I know better. So, next is Long Island Iced Tea, a book that is doing too much. It says bonus point if it works anyway. So for this one, I have two in mind, and because it says bonus points if it works anyway, I think I'm going to choose the one I liked better than the other. So I'm going to say The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. This is one of those books that I was really hoping to love, and there are definitely elements of it that I liked, but there is a lot going on, and it just got to be too much for me. This is a ghost story, it's a mystery, there's a hotel, there's a ship. There's several characters that are interconnected, and there's a Ponzi scheme thrown in for fun. It was a lot to take in, so I did like it, but I would have liked it a lot more, I think, if it had just focused on a couple of aspects. Number 8 is a Negroni, a book with a love triangle. So I couldn't think of any off the top of my head, so I'm going to cheat a little bit for this one and tell you about a book that's on my TBR that I think has a love triangle, and that is Luster by Raven Leilani. This is about a young woman in her 20s who begins having an affair with a married man, but I also think that the wife becomes involved too. So I'm not positive about this one, but I'm pretty sure some kind of triangulation will happen here, so I will let you know once I'm done reading it. Up next is Bay Breeze, a book with light, chill, heartwarming vibes. For this, I chose The Book Charmer by Karen Hawkins. It's the first in a series called the Dove Pond series. Sarah Dove is the librarian, and books speak to her, and Sarah makes sure that the people of Dove Pond get the books that they need in order to help them with any of their troubles. And this was just a delightful, charming, and magical read. Number 10 is Dark and Stormy, a book that's dark, thrilling, and menacing. Bonus points if the setting matches. So first, let me say that the last time I drank a Dark and Stormy was on a tall ship in Boston, and we had a blast. Thankfully, it was not Dark and Stormy. So this is another one that I'm going to cheat just a little wee bit because I have one that is now on the top of my TBR, probably to be read in May, maybe even my first read in May, and that is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Now, I don't know much about this one, and I want to go into it blind, but I know that it is a horror book, and it's about revenge, and I know that people who have read it have said it scared them, so I'm thinking that it'll fit. So this is another one that I will have to follow up on with you. The last one is a martini, a classic recommendation. I have been reading more classics and enjoying them, and the classic that I chose is one that I often recommend for people who are feeling intimidated by classics and or haven't read many classics, and that is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. And I love this book. It's a super quick read, and the story is just so simply and beautifully told, and it's heart-wrenching, and I absolutely love Lenny. So thanks again to AJ for tagging me. I really enjoyed doing this tag, and I'm going to tag a couple of people as well. I will tag a newer booktuber. I will tag David and his channel, David Wiley. If you are up to offering some support to some of the new people in our community, then please check David's channel out. I also want to tag Mel from Mel's Bookshelf. She's on a reading ban, but that doesn't stop her from talking about books. So be sure to check out her channel as well. And lastly, I will tag Summer from Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. Summer has some great book recommendations. She also has several cats, so the name totally fits. And I will leave a link to all of their channels below, so please go check out those channels, show them some support and some love. Thanks again to everyone watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.